we want to bring the wisdom to the wilderness of dating because we've seen a lot of our Christian friends get hurt in the field of dating.
And ourselves.
Even ourselves. I've had my ups and downs, but thankfully I found an awesome one, an awesome catch. And hopefully we can provide some insight for 5 tips on how to successfully date online and protect your heart in the process. It's just as nerve-wracking as in-person dating. And we met online.
Yeah, we did.
We went through the journey, and we're going to share some practical tips, 5 practical tips for how to be successful online dating and how to protect yourself while online dating. Do you want to share tip number 1?
Don't fall into flirting right away, especially good morning and good night texts.
Oh, gosh.
That's so inappropriate when you just met somebody and you've not even met them face to face.
Like, this
so
would be situations where you're only texting for a couple days, and then all of a sudden they're texting you
good morning and good night, calling you beautiful and saying sweet things. No, that is not going to help you get to know them. That's only going to help them get into your heart too fast.
Yeah.
And it's not inappropriate to flirt a little eventually, but it's better to get to know them and laugh with them and share common stories and common interests.
Flirting, it's fun, but it provides a pseudo-intimacy. And it's very easily portrays a deeper intimacy than what is actually there. And so it's very dangerous to play with.
So Dustin didn't flirt with me till probably a month in. And it was great because we knew each other's interests. We knew each other's beliefs, values. We hit all the deep topics. We hit the deal breakers and we laughed together and it got good. It got really good.
It was partly intentional, but maybe because I just lacked game and just was so nervous because you were beautiful and I didn't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we didn't flirt, we were able to focus on, do we have aligned and shared values and beliefs, which is truly the foundation to any relationship.
What's number 2?
Okay, number 2.
Oh, that was mine also.
It was yours also. Don't be picky by the pictures.
Yeah.
Tell us more, babe. Tell us more.
If I was picky about the pictures, we might not be married.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
So I am not photogenic. And I look...
You are.
Thank you, babe. Thank you, babe. But you almost passed me by because of my online profile.
I think if I had gone in with the mindset that I have to be absolutely obsessed with how the guy looks, which I think a lot of ladies are very strict on that.
Surprisingly,
I would not
more
have.
so than guys.
Yeah.
So there's studies out there. Guys will rate 80% of women as being more attractive than average, but ladies only rate like 40% more attractive than average. So they'll be more scrutinizing of the pictures and the profile, and they'll swipe right on by. But you may be missing out on some great conversations, some great connections.
Absolutely. I made it a point to actually talk to any guy who had interest, had messaged me, and get to know him a little bit. And it was worthwhile. Yeah,
so Match.com did this study where they looked at the success rate of common interest, how attractive the people were, their job status, and they found no predictive indicators of a successful relationship due to those things. And so it really takes exploratory conversations with the individual, just getting to know the individual.
Yeah.
And that goes to tip number 3.
Dives right in.
Fight for a phone call or a FaceTime because those online profiles and those online chats and texts, you really don't get to know a person. And just through like a 5-minute phone call, you can quickly gauge whether or not you're interested in the person.
It'll tell a lot.
But also you get to gauge is specifically for ladies, because a guy will chat all day, text back and forth, but won't show any initiative or commitment beyond that. when a guy takes initiative for a phone call or a FaceTime, it means he's interested.
Yep.
He has a higher degree, a higher commitment level than a guy just texting back and forth.
And it also means that he's showing interest in you specifically.
Yeah.
And that there's probably not 20 other ladies. It's easy to text 20 ladies at the same time in the same day.
And you
But
encountered this.
Yeah, absolutely. I would ask for a phone call, ask for a FaceTime from somebody, and it was really hard to get that. And I knew then that I'm not the only one he's thinking about anymore. But when I had Dustin ask me for a FaceTime and then ask me on a date after that FaceTime, I knew that he was pursuing me.
Yeah.
And I was excited.
Maybe to put this into perspective, you had 120 messages.
In the first night.
That's because guys are just kind of shooting their shot, sending flirty text messages to see if they'll get any interest.
Will you marry me?
Yeah.
Or I think I love you.
Oh, gosh. Like, oh, don't ask that online. You don't even know the person.
No.
That phone call is so critical because behind it, it takes effort on the guy's part. And it means, hey, he's not just talking to everyone. There's actually further interest there to get to know you.
And along with that, on the phone, you're gonna get a bigger clue, such a much better idea of who this person is than over texting.
Yep.
And especially FaceTime. You're gonna get a lot of mannerisms, and you're gonna learn a lot more with just a phone call than over texting.
Because with a profile, you can polish that thing up and you can make it say all the right things. But out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And when you start talking to the person, you're going to see the contents of their heart and whether their heart is filled with gems and light or darkness and just trash.
Yeah.
Real quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, tip number 4, get to know the person. Don't just ramble about yourself. The joy of a relationship is mutual understanding, to get to know another person.
I had a conversation one time. It was an hour and a half phone call, and I maybe said 2 words. It was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And not anything on the guy. I think he just didn't know.
Well,
that
yeah,
he was
it could be because they're nervous. It could be because they're unaware. But typically, this is an indicator that the person may be narcissistic. Like, oh, look at me. I'm
They're trying
awesome.
to appear better.
Yeah.
Because they're insecure and they're trying to look better.
A great conversation has give and take.
Yep.
A giving
And I had to learn
receiving.
it too, not just to let Dustin ask me questions or anyone just ask me questions. I had to learn to ask questions back.
Yeah,
and
you're a
get
great
input.
servant and people pleaser. You love people. You love to listen. But you had to learn intimacy requires vulnerability and to open up, to be transparent and honest with who you are. And that journey of, I'm going to be a little intimate and reveal who I am, and vice versa.
Yeah.
That is kind of the beginning joys of the dating process.
Number 5.
Tip number 5. You want to share it, babe?
It's a good one. I think this is yours. I think you should share it.
Okay, I feel like this is kind of directly to the guys. Directly to the guys. The first date should be in the lady's hometown. So I guess I'm speaking to this picture of online dating, long distance. You and I were 3 hours away. And I wanted to put the financial sacrifice on my end. I wanted to put the time sacrifice on my end because I wanted to provide safety for you as a lady. And in the modern era of dating, we need to bring back this idea of chivalry, of opening the doors, of taking the tab on eating out, of putting the financial burden back on us.
Yeah. I think when I was in high school, I had young men tell me, I don't want to invest if it's not going anywhere. And I understand that. But I got this thought in my mind, like, okay, well, no one's going to invest in getting to know me then. But then Dustin actually invested in getting to know me, And that was huge. That was huge because so many men are afraid to invest anything, the chance of getting shot down or wasting their time. But it's not a waste of time. You made that lady feel valued.
Yeah.
And she's going to know her worth when the right man comes along. And you're going to keep showing women value that way.
If a guy thinks you're worth it, he's going to invest in getting to know you.
Yeah.
Because Jesus pursued us. He came down from heaven, came to earth, took on flesh of a man, and died on the cross to purchase us. And in the same way, we as men, in the dating process, in the marriage journey, it's supposed to reflect Jesus Christ in the gospel. And so men need to pursue. They need to initiate. They need to lay down their lives and sacrifice in that journey process.
And then a lady can respond.
Yeah.
And sacrifice.
Yep. 100%. So this idea of men traveling to the lady's hometown, it also, I think there's just some practical safety advice on the lady. Make it a public place.
Absolutely.
And I had no clue about your area, and I recommended this lake because I thought it would be nice and kind of romantic for the first date. We could walk and talk, and
all of my coworkers were like, no. Absolutely not. It is too secluded. So we changed it up, and my friends had my location on their phones and actually showed up.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome. Yeah. It wasn't a double date or anything, but your friends were there to make sure you were okay.
And they didn't say anything. They didn't come up to us. They weren't even in the background the whole time. They were just there hanging out. And I said, hey, those are my friends over there. And Dustin's like, oh, let's go talk to them. So I didn't have pressure to bring it up. I didn't have pressure to tell them that I knew them. They were just there. And it was kind of cool. And they weren't in the way. They weren't awkward. They weren't embarrassing. They were just there. And it was awesome.
This idea, we've had friends be catfished. We've had friends manipulated through online dating apps to get money out of the other ones. So there's this process of trust and verify.
And that's why you got to fight for that FaceTime too.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, they actually look like the picture they have.
Yeah. And are they flirting just to get something from you, or are they just flirting to mess with your emotions? Maybe they are exactly who they say they are, but they're going to text and flirt and stir up your heart and then leave you crushed.
The biggest form of verification, yes, it comes through the social media pages, but through after the first or second date, make sure it's in your community, because your community validates their character. So when the first 3 or 4 times I went to your hometown, and we got to know your community because her community validated her character. It validated her values, her beliefs, who she was as a person. And when she came to my hometown, she got to know my community. We didn't go hang out in isolation by ourselves. It was in the context of community, because you're going to have rosy colored glasses and you need your friends and family there.
You need their input.
Okay, this goes to our bonus tip that we were debating on whether or not to share. Get input from your community. Be transparent with them. After every date I had with you, I was calling up my friends. I was calling up my family just to process through with it, where my headspace was at, but also where my heart was at.
It was so good.
Because, you were so attractive. You, seriously, you're out of my league. So, I don't know how I scored you, babe. I wasn't aiming for a trophy wife, because the contents of your character are worth way more than your appearance and your beauty. But, my rosy colored glasses were off the chart. And I had to constantly be grounded by my friends and family just to gauge, is this girl, is this lady, is this woman worth pursuing?
Yeah, that's really good. And I just want to add that we're not trying to throw anyone under the bus. We're just speaking from experiences that we've had as well, and from our experience on online dating. Anyone who did anything, I don't know if most guys are intentionally trying to hurt anybody, by flirting or intentionally trying to. There's some out there, but most of them are not intentional. So that's why we're given this advice to just to help you guys to navigate online dating. And just because he's flirting right away doesn't necessarily mean he's intentionally going to try to hurt you. It's a warning sign, and it's a caution, and maybe that's a conversation you can have with this person. Just say, hey, can we just get to know each other before we start flirting, and things like that. You know, I don't think everybody does things intentionally to hurt anybody, but these are things that are going to protect your heart and protect, you know, maybe a good relationship that you find.
I love you, babe.
I love you, babe.